In a town that loves seafood, one of the singular dishes is charbroiled oysters. The dish was created by a family that has operated 2 restaurants called Dragos. But their story starts in Europe during the dark days of World War II and communism. Tonight, the Cvitanoviches share their history, and they share an unusual drink recipe that doesn't have alcohol with Bill Capo for 12 for the Road.
From the 2 Dragos restaurants, the Cvitanovich family makes memories for diners from across New Orleans and around the world, building a culinary corporation out of the humble oyster in the town they came to love and adopted as their home.
Our oysters are special food, when you see that, you taste something special, salty oysters in time of year, salty oysters, and that is something really special.
There is no better oysters than Louisiana oysters, period.
Tommy Cvitanovich has become a national authority on oysters, so I had to ask him, when did he eat his first oyster?
Probably 6, 7, 8 years old. My dad had my arm behind my back, twisting it, putting it on the cracker, got a little small one on a little saltine, little cocktail sauce. Actually, it was more ketchup-ridden cocktail sauce, and he forced it on us then. We grew up. My dad made sure we enjoyed oysters growing up as kids.
Tommy might have thought the first one was slimy, but even as a child, he began learning the restaurant business from the ground up, and it was a lesson in a tough lifestyle.
The little boy was full of mischief, but he always loved the restaurant. At age of 7 or 8, he would go to Dragos on Harrison Avenue, his father's sister place. He bussed the tables, he peeled the shrimp.
My dad used to mop floors after we closed. My mom and dad would go to a laundromat and do the linen, after we closed, and then get up early in the morning to make sure all the staff was here and do all the prepping.
One day I sat him down, I said, Tommy, please, leave restaurant business. It's hard. I don't want you to work all your life hard the way we are working.
My favorite line is, I majored in daddy. And, I graduated in daddy, and I knew I wanted to be like my father and my mom, and I wanted to be a restaurateur.
The Cvitanoviches know about tough times. Clara and Drago grew up in what is now Croatia, but was then Yugoslavia.
It was very tough. My remembrance goes all the way back while we were still occupied by Germans. They had taken over my father's and mother's and grandpa's house. Their headquarters were there, and they treated us very well.
But after World War II, the communists took over, and things got worse. Clara and her sisters sent this photo to her father, who was imprisoned by the communists.
That's how my father lost his business that he repaired right after the war. He lost the house we lived in. It was confiscated.
Friends and relatives provided food, and ever since, Clara and her family have reached out to help others.
A friend of ours who worked for my father worked in bakery, and every Sunday he would bring a loaf of bread in a bag and put it on our window and say, here, just go get it. So that was real hard, and I remember it every day. So when I see hungry people, I have to help, because I know the feeling.
We are scared, and that was tough time, when you have no freedom, to think, not only to say, but about think,
Drago fled to Germany, working as a civilian employee of the U.S. Army, but he didn't meet Clara until they both emigrated to Canada and then visited New Orleans.
I came to New Orleans for Mardi Gras. Drago came to New Orleans to visit his 2 sisters and brother. We met here, and boom, we got married 3 weeks later.
When you saw him, what'd you think?
Well, he looked just like Tommy looks today. He was darn good looking, he had great personality, and he was a terrific writer.
Drago, when you look at her, what do you see?
Who?
Your wife. Your wife.
I didn't say nothing.
Now the restaurants employ roughly 300 people, and they call it a family. And Tommy says a third Cvitanovich generation is already learning the restaurant business.
I've got 4 chances, and I'm very confident in my family I'll have somebody come through.
Never found no place like United States.
For 12 for the Road, it took Tommy only seconds to decide on a recipe, and you know what the main ingredient is.
An oyster shooter, of course. In fact, I got to talk to you about changing the name of this series. You're calling it 12 for the Road. We need to call it a dozen for the road, because we start off with beautiful oysters, fresh shucked. Barataria Bay oysters, I might add. Next part, we take just a little bit of Bloody Mary mix. And we add it to each glass here. Take just a little bit of horseradish. You know, some people like a little bit more horseradish. I love horseradish. Gotta put hot sauce in it.
Gotta put hot sauce.
You know, pick your favorite version. I'm gonna add a little bit of cocktail sauce to each one. And the one thing that I like to add just a little bit to it is the pico, which has got the peppers and the onions and the tomatoes.
Tomorrow night, another unique New Orleans personality, Joanne Clevenger of Upper Line Restaurant.
A toast. What more but from Dragos, but eat oysters, love longer.
I'm Bill Capo, Channel 4 Eyewitness News.
And remember to log on to our website for more on the 12 for the Road recipes. You'll also find recipes and interviews from previous years. Just go to WWLTV.com, click on the tab for 12 for the Road. My mouth is watering. That looked delicious. That's an awesome restaurant, too.